On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerning is this stat right here by Kyle Shanahan as the San Francisco 49ers head coach? Over his 7-year tenure as 49ers head coach, he is 0 and 37 when trailing by 8 plus points or more in the fourth quarter. Now, obviously, that doesn't look great. And you can see that little line right there at the bottom. Only team without a win since 2017 when trailing by 8 points in the fourth quarter. Now, that sounds really, really bad. And I would imagine that if you rated this in the comments below, you probably gave this not the best score. So, as a result of that, you're probably like, man, this is the reason. This is why we're struggling. This guy right here, Kyle Shanahan. Well, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, as we know, after the loss, especially like one to the Ravens, everyone's trying to figure out why, how, who do we point the finger at, all those different types of things. I don't like to point the finger a whole lot unless I really do think it's deserved. And I don't really see it deserved in this particular instance. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there's some additional context that needs to be discussed when we talk about this particular stat. Now, obviously, when we see that, like it's presented to us, that looks really bad. And I remember seeing that on the broadcast last night. Like, gosh, man, like that stat keeps popping up whenever we lose. That we don't win when we're down by X amount of points in the fourth quarter. And all that conversation comes back to, well, this team can only win when they're ahead. They're not a come from behind team. All these different types of things. And you know what? Listen, I can understand that because I felt that a little bit when I saw that. But we got some additional context that kind of puts that stat, I think, in a place that makes much more sense. When we're able to stack that against the rest of the league, I think it helps us kind of quantify a little bit better because when we see it standing alone, it looks really, really bad. But when we put it in contextual reference against the rest of the league, I think it kind of helps us understand it a little better. And let's kind of walk through it and talk through it. Because regarding this particular stat, which is now 0 and 38, when down by 8 plus points in the fourth quarter, when Kyle Shanahan has been coaching as a member of the 49ers, coaching staff as the head coach, it doesn't sound great. But these key metrics help us quantify why it's actually maybe not that bad. All teams win percentage in this scenario, meaning down by 8 points or more in the fourth quarter, is 7%. That means 7% of the teams who have found themselves in this position since Kyle Shanahan has become a head coach is a 7% chance of winning. So, and to contextualize that even further, there have been 98 wins that from teams that have found themselves in this scenario. That means 1,337 teams lost in this scenario, while 4 tied. So when you see these numbers stacked against each other, like 0 and 38 sounds bad, right? Because it means he never done it, and it means like, does that mean that we can't win from behind? But when you start to contextualize it like this, that only 7% of teams find themselves winning in this scenario, and you see the numbers that have bared out as a result, it doesn't feel as bad. Kansas City has the best win percentage, and they're sitting at 6 and 14 when found in this same scenario. Now, obviously, they have Patrick Mahomes. What is Patrick Mahomes known for? He is known for coming from behind, just as the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. So he was down 10, and we know what the outcome was. He's one of those games right there. So, and then when you go to the next team who has the next best win percentage, it's Green Bay, who have won 7 of those with 34 losses. And who was their quarterback for probably most of those wins? Aaron Rodgers. So right now, the case being made against the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan are teams that are led by two of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play our game, in regards to making plays outside of structure and literally throwing the ball from any arm platform ever, and are considered the two most talented throwers of the football to ever grace our game. And then when you go to number 3, you have Seattle at 1-38. Seattle is in third place at 1-38 over that time period. 49ers 0-38. Carolina 1-58. Indianapolis 1-36-1. Baltimore 2-22. Dallas 2-37. New England 3-35. You see his point number 5. No one really wins these. So you have all these analytics, and then he just says, no one really wins in these scenarios. As you can tell, only 98 winners have come out of these scenarios with over 1,300 losers. He goes on to say, helps to be good at drop back pass. Now, there's kind of a correlation that when we think of this stat, we're like, oh, they're a run first team. They can't start throwing it. I mean, that there's a little bit something to that. I would be the first to admit that the 49ers have a rhythm-based offense, and they find the most success by staying in front of the sticks, not getting penalties, and being able to get in and out of their offense efficiently and effectively. And when you find yourself behind, it's the 49ers aren't built to be a drop back passing team. That's why when you look at the offensive linemen that they have, they're typically run first. They're not pass first. So, yes, number 6 makes a lot of sense, right? Helps to be good at the drop back pass. Now, the 49ers have been really efficient with Brock Purdy. They have the comeback win against the Raiders. And then I believe they led a game-winning drive against the Dallas Cowboys. He led a game-winning drive against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. And Brock has only lost a handful of games, right, during that time. And then he says 7, SF scheme, quarterback weakness equals drop back pass. So the point of this entire video was to contextualize this. And this post by Mike Sando helped me a lot because you take away this and it's removed. See, it's gone. It's not there anymore. It's like we've never even seen it. But all you have access to is this under 7 seasons with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. The 49ers are 0-37 when trailing by 8+ points in the fourth quarter. Only team without a win in 2017. That looks really bad, right? That looks really bad. That's like, ooh. These are the questions that I asked when I saw this, and I talked about it on live after the game. I was like, I'm interested about this stat because it keeps popping up whenever we lose. And is it pointing to something? Is it pointing to the fact that, hey, maybe the 49ers can't win from behind? Maybe they're just really not built that way. But then the important statistical context comes into play, and we get this, and this really helps explain where the 49ers stand. Again, when you look at the guys that are in third, 1-38, 1-58, like, I don't know. I really feel like this is such a phenomenal little snapshot to explain the context of this stat. Now, I'm not a big numbers guy. I'm not a big stat guy. So hopefully I was able to explain this well, because I'm a visual person. So visually being able to see it like this, it helps me understand it better. I just want to know what you guys think because I won't be surprised when we pop into the chat and people who commented right away when they started this video, we see a lot of levels of concern. But I would challenge you to, if you did say that you were really, really concerned, to comment under that comment and update us after you've watched the entire video. Does that make sense? So I'm kind of challenging you here. Of course, take a cookie if you watch the whole video, but if you commented at the very beginning your concern level, after we've gone through the video, comment back under your original comment and let me know how concerned you are now after seeing it in context with all the other teams in the NFL. I just want to see. Uh, I did because I felt much differently after seeing this versus when I just saw the Kyle Shanahan stat. So let me know what you guys are thinking. I want to see your comments. I want to see your thoughts. See if you're like me, or if you're not, tell me why you're not like me and why you do think this is a bigger concern than we are letting on. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.